Hello, and welcome to another episode of Amiga Retro Adventures. Today, you see before you my Amiga 1000, which I purchased about 1 or 2 years ago off of eBay. It's in pretty good shape, considering obviously how old it is, 30 plus years. And of course, it's in its slightly disassembled state. Today, what we're going to be doing is I am going to be replacing the power supply fan. Thank you. Not the power supply. The power supply fan, which is this one, brand new, off of eBay. And hopefully this is the right part, because I did some research and this is what people recommended, and it looks like it will fit a direct replacement. But what makes these unique is their AC. So I'm not going to use a DC fan. There are hacks you can do. You can run off the power supply and all that fun stuff. But I want to keep it as original as possible. Plus, I don't want to overtax the power supply. I know they don't draw a lot, but I don't want to put a DC fan on there. I want to keep this as original as possible. But before we do that, I just want to give a quick overview of my Amiga 1000. It is slightly modified from its original form. As you can see, I can't remove this front panel because it is attached. It's basically the status LED, which connects to this Rom Switcher. Yes, a Rom Switcher for the Amiga 1000. It comes in very handy. So instead of using the Kickstart disc, which most people seem to lose over time, you can find them online, but it's a two-step process versus the usual one where you just on the Amiga 500 or 600, 2000, whatever. You just put in the workbench disk, or you boot off of a hard drive, and away you go. Well, with the Amiga 1000, you would actually have the Kickstart disk, which would have to load into write-only memory, sorry about that, and then boot. It would reboot, and then you would boot off the workbench disk. So it kind of streamlines that. I also upgraded, if you want to call it that. This is an NTSC Amiga. I managed to find, and they're kind of expensive lately, is a PAL version of the Agnes chip, which is right here. So now at least it's more compatible, since most of the games and whatever you can find, for the Amiga were made in Europe, and they don't, some games do not run well on the NTSC, especially with the timings and all that fun stuff. So basically, it's been upgraded with the ROM board. The PAL chip has replaced the NTSC, so now it's a bit more compatible with what games are out there. And the last upgrade I did is I can turn this around and move the camera slightly without making everyone dizzy again. Here we go. And zoom in. Okay, any second now. This is slow to respond today. Kind of like me first thing in the morning. And that is you can hardly see it, but underneath the shroud here for the floppy, there's some RAM modules back there. So it's basically a CPU board adapter. So you put the adapter into the CPU slot, put the 68000 CPU into the adapter, and on that adapter is the 8 megabytes of memory. So basically you'll have 512K of chip, with the 256K on board and the 256K expansion that goes on the front. That will give you 512 of chip. And then I have 8 megabytes of fast RAM. So, and that's it pretty much. And it works really well. And there we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take apart the CPU. So it should be relatively simple, in theory, of course. The cord right here, which you can hardly see because it's behind the daughter board, just plugs into the motherboard. So I can unplug that. I can do that right now. Why not? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wrong direction. Here we go. Try not to destroy it. Success. There, it's off. And then several screws, and I should be able to pull up the power supply. And then we'll see how tricky it will be to replace the AC fan that's in it. So give me a moment to remove this, and I will be back shortly. Hello again. And now we see the power supply. So as you can see, there's the fan, the AC fan, 120 volts. There's the AC input right here. And you can see it's got this, get that wire out of the way, that tongue there, that lip on the bottom, that's why I had to pretty much remove the motherboard, because that went, well, the motherboard went over top of this, so to get that out, it wouldn't work too well. So that's where that came from. So now we're going to figure out how to get the fan out and replace it. So let's take a look at that, shall we? Get this over a bit. Try to work, zoom out. Okay, I'm not sure how well this is going to be in frame because it is a bit awkward, especially with me trying to work on this. Let me turn this way. There we go. So as you can see, this wire that runs along here is for the fan. So I'm going to end up clipping that off. And I guess I won't need the chair because I can't sit down for this because of this beautiful camera alignment. There we go. Okay, try to get that in better focus. There we go. So I will start by clipping these off. Without wrecking anything. That's that one. And I don't want to cut the wire, even though I probably don't need it. Well, I probably do because I will be using it for... And there we go. It's interesting, actually. It uses its own plug right there. That might make things a bit easier for me. So I'll take that off there. That's it, actually. This is a lot easier than I thought. So let me remove. Let's pull straight up. That's it, pretty much. And that's the fan, I guess. This whole wire right there, that was almost too easy. So I'll probably have to splice in the other one. Well, not probably, I will have to splice in the other one. And see what happens. So I need to try to take these bolts off. So let's see how well that works. I need the proper tool, of course. One moment. Well, unfortunately, I do not have a wrench that small, so I will have to do this with the not so proper tools, which is going to take me a bit longer without wrecking anything. Let's see if I can get this on here. Ideally, a small wrench would be nice. Come on, it's going to be easier than this. They have a Loctite, of course, so I can't turn these out by hand. I have to keep using this slightly improper tool. One moment. Or maybe longer than that. Oh, damn, it's almost coming off. Almost. Okay, one more, several turns. There we go. Well, I'm going to do that 3 more times without boring you to death, and I will be right back. And through the magic of video, ta-da, it's off. So that is the old fan. I should be able to reuse pretty much most of this connection. So what I shall do is cut this off. Good question is where. Let me take a look at the other fan. As you can see, they're pretty much, get this in camera here, they're pretty much the same. Same form factor, same size, so that it will fit just nicely. I guess a better comparison here. So hopefully and it'll work. So we have some length here. So I guess I could, let's move this a bit more to the work area. There we go. rather have a bit of length versus none. I do kind of want to use this. So how do I get in there, I wonder? Without wrecking it? Well, it is being replaced, so let's hope this works. That's not... No, I just ended up ripping that, so I guess that's coming off there now. Well, that's that. Done. Okay. That comes off. That's the other wire. Okay, wait a second. Oh, that's the other wire there, the one that I'm going to reuse. And this is the one I'm going to splice into. So I don't mind if it's a bit longer, because I can always, tuck the wires in certain spots. So I can kind of maybe connect that there. And there we go. And being AC, it doesn't really matter what lead goes to what. So I will splice these wires together and put the protective insulator on it as well. And I will solder those together, and I will hopefully be able to show you the finished product. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I thought I'd let you join in the fun of doing this, instead of doing it off camera. So, first thing I shall do is strip these wires. So, there's one. Locating the camera again, of course, because that's what I do. And two. The only thing I'm concerned about is the room in here may not be enough to accommodate the spliced connections, but we shall see. So put that aside for now. Do the same thing to these wires. And one and two. Remove and remove. My soldering iron should be up to temperature pretty soon. So the secret here is make sure I put this on to the original wire first. Which, I think lengthwise it'll be fine. I should be able to get that on there. Or not. I know there was some spare here, length to be had. There it comes. Grab that, pull, and then it's gives me some slack here to deal with these connections. Okay then. So let's see how well this is going to work. Like I said, there's not a lot of clearance in here. And I have to put heat shrink on these two connections as well. Speaking of that, heat shrink is behind me in this bag of parts. Well, I don't know. Looking for the right size. Always. How's this, I wonder? Will this go over top of these? Yes, it will, but will it go on top of the actual soldered connection? That is the problem. Okay, those both are the same size. This isn't easy to do because I'm working on an angle here to get the camera to see what I'm doing, so I'm kind of working off to the side. That's very awkward. Okay, two roughly the same size, put that over there. Auxiliary glasses on the tabletop of the other, that's the stove tabletop actually. Okay. Here goes nothing. Almost. I forgot the most important part. Make sure you put these onto the wire before you solder them, because that would, you know, be a lot better. There's one. Oh, there's two. Rustling of the bag. Put that off to the side. Now the fun part. Let me try to splice these together in a very minimalistic fashion. Try to make it as low profile as possible so we don't take up a lot of room. Gotta move this down so all the wire fits in here. Okay, here goes nothing. I do have a backup plan if this won't fit in here, I think. Okay, solder, get that more into frame. Bit of fumes. I don't like that too much. 1 second, I gotta try to make this more my style here. Not happy with that. Not happy with that. Could shorten these up a bit. At least that one. Just 1 second. Shortened it up. Do the same thing with this side for the next one. Okay, so let me try this again. Okay. Get out of my face. Such wires. Let me just shorten these up the same. Might as well make the odds even. These aren't exactly the same length, as you can see. That's not good. It's not good at all. Let me, geez, sorry for this keeps getting out of frame, but it's hard to keep track of all this. What I was mentioning is these two aren't at the same length. So I will trim that here. Try to make that a bit longer. Maybe there. Not too bad, I guess. That's fine. Okay, back over to here. Get this stuff out of the way, because this is always so much fun. And try to connect these together, because I need to have a very minimal, see, it's a very minimal. Okay, that's pretty good. As long as I don't move that, it's fine. Let me get that out of the way so I can grab my soldering iron, which is over here. And I will attempt to solder this. Get on the other side here. I may not be using the right tip for this because it's a bit of wire. You just have to get enough to... That should be good right there. Let that cool down a bit. There we go. Oh. Okay, and then I'm going to put the heat shrink on here. Guess I'll do the other end first because I have to turn on the slightly noisy heat gun to finish this. Okay, I have to get this right. This one doesn't look as nice as the other one did, just because it doesn't have to, I guess. It's not bad. So, same thing as before with the soldering iron. I will attempt to heat that up slowly. Come come on. This is not looking very good, actually. Yeah, don't, oops. That's fine. I'd rather have less solder than too much. Okay. Oh, sorry for the arm in the way, but oh well, I have very limited working space. So I will turn off the soldering iron and turn on the heat gun. As it gets up to temperature, it's right over there. Temperature climbing, with the wire in the way, of course. Heat guns come in very, very handy, actually. So that should get up to temperature pretty quick, and then I will attempt to do these. There's, yeah, it's pretty close, right there. Same thing with this one. Make it about level. There they go. Scooch that down a bit more. So let's see what happens with the heat gun. I have a smaller nozzle on this, unfortunately, from my previous project. So we'll see how well this works. It takes a bit longer since there's less air coming through. I need to get the heat gun in the image completely. I'm trying not to. Just bear with me. That's the one. Yes, the other nozzle, this would have been done already. It'd be a larger nozzle, and it would be more suitable for this task, but this will work. I am pretty confident it will. And those are those. And I think that's fine. Turn off the heat gun. Okay, and let that cool down. It looks okay. Now, will that fit over top of the extra thickness I've added here? That is the question. I don't know. Barely? Maybe some soap, some water perhaps? This may not work very well. I don't know. It's scooching. Scooching is good. Let me put this in frame. Just trying to coax it on. Oh, look at this. It caught a break today. Excellent. That went better than expected, especially when you're on camera. There is a clip that came with this one. If I can find it, there we go. That goes over top of this. Is the wire too thick for it? I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't think it's going on completely. Yeah, it doesn't want to stay. Because the wire, that sheathing is too thick, plus the wiring is... Yeah, this little clip here was on the other one, but the other one, remember, was just bare wires. And anyway, I'll worry about that later. There's other things I can do, but as you can see, of course, the sheathing doesn't go quite as far, but that's fine. It's not that important. It's secured in place anyways. It's not going to cause any issues. And that is that. So I'm going to try to see if I can get that secured a bit better, and other than that, I will be back with it attached to the case, the power supply, I mean. So I shall return. So before I put the daughter board on and pretty much complete this project, almost, I'll let you know in a moment why I'm saying almost, I just wanted you to see the motherboard before I threw the daughter board back on again, so that ROM adapter, the kickstart switcher, plugs into these, like I mentioned before, sockets. But of interest, if I can zoom in a bit, there's the 8 meg RAM expansion for the CPU. So basically it's just the daughter card, which is these two memory chips here, and the CPU plugs into this daughter card, which plugs into the original CPU socket. It's auto configurable. There is a jumper right here which you could hook a switch up to that would turn the RAM on or off, but I leave it on all the time. But I guess if you have compatibility issues with older games, you can enable or disable the extra memory. With the move over here, I should say, the edge connector here is where the 256K of extra memory goes, which is added to the 256K on the motherboard, giving you 512. Unfortunately, the only thing you cannot expand on the 1000 is the amount of chip RAM, so the maximum amount it will ever address is 512, which unfortunately causes compatibility with some newer games, even of the OCS or ECS genre. And the only other thing that I really modified, or I guess updated on this computer, is the Agnes chip. Let me get that a bit more into focus. There we go, which is right here. For compatibility for me for games, unfortunately a lot of the games, because this the Amiga line of computers was way more popular in Europe than it was in North America, like US and Canada, pretty much everything was written in PAL, which is the television format over there. Now, unfortunately, it's not just the TV format. A lot of games require from that signal of 50 hertz versus 60. So 50 hertz for PAL, 60 hertz for NTSC. So that's why a lot of games that are designed for Europe for the PAL format don't run properly. It's not just the screen size, it's just that there's timing. It's required by a lot of the programmers and certain functions that it just breaks when it tries to run on an NTSC computer. So I bought this chip online, paid a good price for it because they're hard to find. I still have the original NTSC variant, and I believe the number on that is the 8367, and I believe the 8361 is the NTSC version. Sorry about that brief break. Yeah, I double checked. It is the 8361, which is the NTSC version. Now, I mentioned previously that I am almost done with this project, and there's a reason for that. The fan installation went relatively well. Let me move the camera here. We'll take this off to the glorious power supply innards. And the fan installed well. The wiring is pretty nice here along the edge there. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So it looks stock, it looks nice, it looks neat, which is pretty good. But there's a problem. It is a bit on the loud side. So even though it's the right dimensions, which these fans are 80 millimeters by 80 millimeters by 38 millimeters, and it is a 120 volt fan, obviously, because if it was not, it would have burst into flames by now. But the problem is the wattage. I did not know what the original wattage was, of course, until I took it apart. The original fan, if I can get this into focus here, oh, there we go. You see that it's 115 volts, 50-60 hertz at 4 or 3 watts, depending at the hertz rating, plus it draws a whopping 40 milliamps. Now this fan, even though it's the same dimension, same voltage, draws 12 watts. So that would suggest it runs a bit faster, and indeed the RPMs are higher, and it has a tendency of running a bit louder. I will show you right now. I'll put this cover back on neatly. I will plug it in down here. Kind of awkward, one moment. Oh, there we go. Okay, now to be fair, I'm not sure how well this is going to pick it up, but I do have an app on my phone here, the sound meter, and I will place it right here. I'll try to zoom into that a bit better so you can see it. You can kind of see it on an angle there. Maybe I can, no, I can't really prop that up, that'll affect the readings. But as you can see, as I'm talking, it's increasing. Now, I didn't measure the other one before I took it apart, or replaced it, the other fan. This one here. But it definitely was a lot quieter than this is. I will turn this on now, and hopefully you will hear how loud it gets. So I'm going to stop talking so you see how many decibels it is in this room with ambient background noise, and then I will turn it on. And if I move this up just a bit more to there, oh, it peaked at 73 there. So, yeah, it's around 70 decibels. Let me move it up a bit more. And a bit more. Yeah, so you're, there we go. So as you can see, 70 decibels. I know the other one wasn't quite that loud. I probably would bet it was closer to maybe 50 tops. So it was more like you could hear more of the air than you could of the fan. So I will turn this off. And there we go. I'll go back to here, zoom out a bit. Okay, sorry about that. I once again hit the record button because it's right by the zoom on this, and if you grab the camera incorrectly, well, you know what happens. It just doesn't work out very well. There we go. I'll take this away. Oops. Put that back on again, I guess. So when I said earlier, almost done with this project, that I'm getting a new fan, obviously, because that's way too loud. Unfortunately, unlike DC fans, you can't just throw on resistors or simple regulators to calm it down. You have to use, with AC, a rheostat or a pretty good wattage resistor, like in the neighborhood of 2 watts up to 10 watts, depending on how much you want to limit the current to the fan. And no, I don't want to do that. I want to keep this as original as possible. So I have a new one ordered, and same form factor, 80 by 80 by 38, and it will, it's only 4 watts. It's supposed to be quiet, so we have a benchmark now. We know it runs around 70 dB, and then when I get the fan in the mail from Amazon, which I ordered, it should be here Wednesday. I should be able to complete this video. I will install the other one off camera, of course, because you've already seen how it's done here, and see what happens, I guess, and we'll do a comparison to see how much quieter it is compared to 7 dB. So until then, I'll let you guys go, and I'll give you an update on another, maybe part 2 of this, with the proper fan installed. Plus, after everything's working okay and I'm happy with it, I'll show you the complete operation of the Amiga 1000. So just keep an eye out for part 2. Hopefully I should have it by the end of the week if everything goes well. Once again, thank you for watching.